Hello and welcome to Soul's Compass Healing. My name is Brianne, and this is a channel where I talk about the energy of the times through evolutionary astrology, as well as I incorporate my social work background. And if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me, I am meeting with people in an online format in what I call a support session, where I blend in different therapies, incorporating you as a unique individual as I look at your birth chart before the sitting. And then we have this whole time together to dive in to what is going on for you in your life right now, and it is meant to be a support. And so my intention today is to first of all name that I'm going to be extra chachi and keep my shades on because I need to protect my eyes against this sun here. And most importantly, I want to begin talking about this Leo new moon happening on August the 4th with a mention of Vesta. So this moon is with Vesta. And for those who know about the mythology of the Vestal Virgins, they were the appointed women who would have a very, 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 very important job in the community, and that was to ensure that the hearth fire, the center flame for the community, never goes out, ever. And so the king would make sure that there was ample employees who would be at the beck and call of these Vestal Virgins to support them in whatever they needed in order to do their job efficiently and smoothly and without interruption. Because what it meant if the fire goes out, hello Osprey, is that the community would then not have heat, an ability to cook, and the ability to make light, right? And so a very important function. And if we are to transfer this into our modern world, we see that there are certain very essential functions that keep our society ticking along that do not have this level of support. And I'm going to name the human services field as one of the main ones. You know, we see in our society the prioritization is quite clear in terms of who gets money and who doesn't, right? Who gets funding and who doesn't. And so this is the kickoff point for this whole new moon in Leo is addressing this macro lens, this collective issue of what central and essential functions of our community are not being properly supported, so that community members are now going without essential needs, and there seems to be a fight in order to get them. And so I bring this up for many reasons. As I look at this new moon chart, I see this shining through in many different aspects and alignments. And so let's get into it a little bit more. One other way that this certainly shows up is the fact that we have Venus, the ruler of our south node, at the final degree of Leo, in conjunct Neptune retrograde at the final degree of their home sign, also in conjunct Pluto retrograde 0 degrees Aquarius. And this can be symbolizing the collective point that we are at, where it's like, ooh, like I guess that would be the motion and the sound effect, but it's more, to describe it in words, it would be like okay, I gotta step back a bit. It would be like, let's bring it down to the personal and we'll get back up to the collective. So you. There will never be another you. You're one of a kind, and you're special. You're special. There will never be another you. And that's amazing. And that's something that you share with everybody else. Everybody is special in their own unique way. And so, what I find frustrating is that there are many unique, special, talented, gifted people who could be performing essential functions in our society, much like what the Vestal Virgins performed in their days of the Roman Empire or whatever. But because of this misalignment, because of the structural issues of our society and where we're at, there are so many talents and gifts in people that go wasted. So many. I see it so often. I see it so often. People who would be amazing, people who are amazing, child protection workers or police officers, or, like these really hard frontline jobs. And the system simply destroys them. And it's like, that's just one example, but I really do see that when we are considering the evolutionary point that we're at. The fact that politically the pendulum is very heavily swinging in a very particular direction at the moment. And where Pluto is right now speaks volumes. It's exactly what we're seeing playing out in the world. And so with this questioning coming up, now moving into Mars being in Gemini, and this retrograde period that we're going to be heading into, there is this questioning, right, of like, no, actually before I go there, let's finish off with Venus. Venus in the last degree of Leo. I don't know if y'all remember last summer when Venus had her retrograde underworld journey in the sign of Leo. But yeah, it was collectively and generally speaking a time where there was an opportunity to recover some aspect of our self-worth, right? Some level of self-actualization occurred through a deep introspective and unearthing process. And now, where Venus is at, in conjunct Neptune and Pluto, we can be seeing that it's like, ooh, on a personal level, it's like, okay, so I'm seeing my capacity, right? I'm seeing the capacity that I have in where I'm at in in the self-actualization journey. I'm seeing the capacity of how much I can show up and be in the fullness of life and be radiating my sense of self. You know, we can be bumping up against those what is it called? Those walls, those limits. So we can be realizing that capacity, right? And it might be this small, it might be big, it depends on the person. But essentially, what I'm getting to is that we are realizing that this level of capacity for showing up and living life, that directly influences our relationships, right? These two in conjunctions are right around that, that full moon phase, on either side of that full moon phase. So if we look at the phasal relationship here, it's all of a sudden it's like, oof, okay, so maybe last year I recovered some aspect of myself and now I'm being challenged to, and how do I connect that to others? How do I connect that to how I relate, to how I show up in groups, to how I serve? What function can I serve with this? So again, we can be refining and having aha moments about the functions that we can serve. And then Mars and Jupiter are having this conjunction in Gemini, and that can really be bringing on, well, I suppose before I get into that, I just want to mention that I feel like right now is a good time to sort of remember that this Aries new moon solar eclipse that we had, that is still overshadowing and a main arc of what we are in right now. It had a Mars and Saturn conjunction in Pisces, and at the time I was like, oof, this is gonna be bringing up a lot of what's the point for people, a lot of helplessness, a lot of I just don't know what to do, I just want to get off of this hamster wheel of pain somehow. And yeah, lo and behold, we are seeing suicide rates continue to climb. And it's like with Mars having its most recent conjunction with Uranus and now Jupiter, I feel like, and also this Jupiter conjunction is square that Saturn, right? And so now we have this sort of, how do I describe it? We just had, the sudden shock of of Uranus and Mars meeting together. And shortly thereafter, we have this Jupiter and Mars meeting in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, who will be going retrograde the day after this new moon, right? So we have this this kicking off of this introspection time of questioning, okay, what is my role? How can I apply myself? Or am I just going to stay stuck in feeling helpless and in feeling like there is no point? Because that is an option too, and many people take it. I take it a lot of the time, But this Venus action is speaking volumes in saying, is that a life? is that a life worth living? You know, just staying stuck all the time. You don't know what to do, so you just sit there, you know? And I say this with so much compassion for myself, because this is huge for me personally, and so much compassion for everybody because I see it everywhere. And this comes down to another point that I want to make about this Mars and Jupiter and Gemini business, is that I can say these words like, you're not alone. If you're feeling stuck, you're not alone. You know? And I'm not saying that saying these things to each other means nothing. I'm just saying that it matters if the person on the other receiving end actually feels not alone or not. You know? We need to be really careful about not just blowing hot air, because it comes off as being dismissive and hurtful to people. You know, if we just want to teach somebody a quick lesson to shut them up, even if the words are nice, they're going to feel the intention. You know, people are stupid. Even the most seemingly, checked out people have the sixth sense of intuition, and they're using it, you know. So this comes down to integration and alignment between our words, saying what we mean and meaning what we say, right? Mars in Gemini is curious. It wants to ask questions. It wants to know, okay, I'm ready to go, and where are we going? How are we going to get there? What are the things that we're going to see? And it's like it wants to just go for it. It wants to discover. It wants to learn things, and this is excellent. And with any sign or planet in evolutionary astrology, we are always looking to the polarity point, right? And so it's beautiful that we have Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, which is this Sagittarius Gemini axis, reminding us of that integration of our words being in alignment with our actions. Conjunct Mars, yeah? And how that is in alignment with our higher purpose, right? And there is so many reasons to be out of alignment. You know, there's so many. There's so much trauma that we have been through as a species. There is so much that our modern life demands of us, and those demands are increasing every day just to fight for our survival. And so I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but I'm saying that this conjunction can really be speaking to how to come into that alignment with that sense of self, so that the direction, the steps that we take moving forward are informed from this higher knowing place of intuition, as well as this grounded, logical place of, I'm curious, I'm asking questions, I'm staying attuned to my environment, and I'm learning as I go. I'm picking up the details as I go. You know, I'm not getting stuck in the details right before I start and building this, this wall around me of details and why I can't do this and why I can't do that. You know, it's like, if there's an inkling of something coming from somewhere that's just like, What about this? We just start following in that direction and we ask questions. Like, I want to talk to people because I have so many questions. When I think about where we are at societally in terms of our human services issues, I have all questions and no answers. I'll be straight up. I have all questions and no answers, and I want to ask questions with a group of people who also have questions and are willing to brainstorm answers together. Because we are not going to come up with the answers in isolation. We are not going to come up with the answers when we are inauthentic to who we are. Because we each serve an essential function in this puzzle of life, in what makes up our society, in our communities that we find ourselves in. We are there for a reason. And so, yeah, that's what I want to say about this Leo new moon. If you want to talk with me more about this, I would absolutely welcome you to reach out. Absolutely. We can start a group discussion somewhere, somehow. I'm so ready. Here for it. And so, Venus is still trine Chiron. Venus is going to be sexy quadrate Chiron on the 11th. Mars is going to be sexy quadrate Pluto on the 12th. Venus is going to be sexy quadrate Pluto on the 17th. So we have some really intense heavy evolutionary force this month in terms of when we think about the sexy quadrate aspect being like being a very critical turning point in the wheel of evolution, right? When we have the rulers of our moon's nodes both making that same aspect to Pluto within days of each other, that speaks volumes. There is something to be said about where we have come and where we are going. And the fact that we are in this crumbling, overall disseminating time period where, as I said, there are way more questions than answers. And I think that the more real we are about that, the faster we will be at moving forward, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. We don't know what we're doing. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, with this Mercury retrograde happening the majority of this month of August, ruling this Jupiter and Mars conjunction, obviously this speaks to a turning inward, right? Mercury dipped into Virgo, which is the sign of service, which again speaks very much Vesta vibes, what I was talking about. What is your service? What is your function to your community? And then it's like, whoa, I gotta go back and like realize some shit in Leo, like, well, who am I then? Like, what do I have to bring? And working on that alignment, like I was talking about, right? That alignment so that so that your words are in alignment with your actions, are in alignment with you as a soul, Okay, so, oh yeah, Mars is also square Mercury, so it's, depending, it obviously always depends on person to person, individual, path of every soul. But yeah, this can be on a scale of super intensely hard to super intensely easeful. But with Chiron retrograde, in the sign of Aries, it's probably bringing up a lot of inner pain. And it also can be a time where we can be realizing things about ourselves where it's like, oh, I thought that was just normal life, having these symptoms every day, and now I'm realizing this is actually a medical condition, and I need to address this because it is limiting my capacity for showing up and living my life, right? We can be having some variation of that happening too. So what else? Yeah, Juno action. Juno is opposing Neptune at the time of this new moon and will be entering the sign of Libra on the 9th. And so this can be again bringing up the any relationships that are required to dissolve, or any relating patterns that are requiring a dissolving, or going through that balsamic phase of fully becoming formless before a new seed is planted. This can be extremely hard. It can be letting go of certain ways of relating, letting go of certain people, but it doesn't always have to be that extreme either. It can also just be showing up. Well, I mean, certainly how it's showing up in the collective is kind of like what I was just saying, like, let's not deceive ourselves. Let's get real about the fact that the way that we are in communion with each other right now is needing to come to an end, and we will continue to see more and more of these sort of like crisis scenarios happening, where people are forced to commune and be together in ways that yeah force us to talk to each other and work together, and through those experiences, that is when we have increased compassion for one another, and that is when we find solutions, because we're in this position where we're forced to, right? Yeah, and also with this Mercury retrograde, it can be like a time to reflect on how everyday learning and adaptations has the power to change the overall trajectory of our journey through life. Do not discount the small steps. Do not discount the fact that, those little attunements to our alignment of our inner knowing and our logic, our sense of self and our direction. If we even have like a half of a aha moment, or we have a half of a moment where we feel like, wow, I just reacted in that scenario in a way that I never have before. These are examples of the little attunements that can be helping us bring ourselves back online, so that we can be living a life where we are alive, where we can therefore be of service to others. And so there is an opportunity for the initiation of integrating everyday communication patterns with our overarching dreams, goals, callings, right? So yeah, it's an integration time this month, big time. A lot of integration to be had. So this moon is also opposing Cheroklo, who I'll very briefly, just say that to say that I'm very thankful for that. I feel very supported by Cheroklo's energy as we go through this level of intensity that we are going through with Chiron. Chariklo in the mythology was Chiron's wife, was the space holder for him to go through his healing journey. And so this really speaks volumes, the fact that she's in Aquarius, and I believe, yeah, she's retrograde too, opposing this moon. You know, she's saying to turn inward, to find that sense of safety, because everything that I just talked about in this video cannot be done unless there is, first and foremost, a sense of safety as the inner foundation within the sense of self. We cannot do these things that we wish that we could do for others, or that we hope that we could do for others, these ideals, right, Jupiter? These ideals of partnership, of relationship. We can't do any of that before we can do it for ourselves. And we learn through a foundation of safety, because it's needing to change on the felt sense, right? This isn't just words passing through the window of time. This is, Mars is there. Mars wants to take action and really be walking forward, recovering some sense of integrity. So that is all that I have to say. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak with you at the Aquarius full moon coming up. And yeah, all the best.